For my handle, I started with a coil. Then I flattened it slightly and I'm using a damp sponge. Not only is this going to compress the clay, but also smooth out the edges. Consider pressing a texture into your handle as well. Here I'm using the serrated rib. Then take a knife and trim the edges off. Line it up with your piece. For my handle, I'm curling the top. And then take your knife and then trim off the tail. When you're attaching your handle, you want to make sure that there's enough surface to actually attach. So don't attach it on the edges of your coil. That's not enough surface, but rather the flat part of your handle. So when you're ready, scratch, dip it in a little bit of slip, and then to know where you want to attach it or how big your candle is going to be, just take the slip and stamp it. Now you know exactly where to scratch. Take your handle, make sure it's lined up vertically, and then press it into your sculpture. Blend the extra clay into the piece, and then now we need to fill in that gap with a reinforcing coil. I'm going to dab my board with some wet water, roll out a tiny little coil, fill it into that negative space, and then using a tool, blend that reinforcing coil into my sculpture and into the handle. Notice I have a finger holding the handle in place while I blend. That way it doesn't accidentally collapse. Whenever you're building something and attaching an additive part, consider where it's going to be the weakest. That's where you want to put the reinforcing coil. So for a handle, I need one on the top and on the bottom joint. So I'm going to do the same thing. I dabbed my board with a little bit of water, rolled out a little coil, and placed it inside where it's weakest on the bottom of my handle. Using a tool, I'm blending it all together. This handle adds visual interest, but is also structurally sound.